The freighter Marlin's ghost slipped through the violet haze above Alheron Prime, its hull groaning like an old soldier returning to a battlefield best left forgotten. Rust-colored clouds parted, revealing the mining colony below, metal scars carved into dead rock, glowing faintly under artificial dusk. Commander Alira Voss leaned forward in her seat, eyes narrowing. "Still the ugliest place in the sector," she muttered, tapping a few commands into the control panel. Behind her, Kuno padded quietly into the cockpit. His tall, lean frame cast a long silhouette against the flickering bulkhead lights. His skin shimmered faintly, an odd effect of his species' bioadaptive cells, but his expression was calm, almost serene. "You say that about every outpost we land on," he said, voice soft, melodic. "Because they keep outdoing each other." Alira jerked her head toward the viewport. "Look at it, smokestacks, rust, and people who'd sell their lungs for spare credits." Kuno smiled faintly but said nothing. His eyes flicked to the scanner display, where a cluster of static blips pulsed near the docking lanes. "Crowded," he noted. "And someone's watching us." "I know," Alira said. "Let him watch. We're here for fuel and coolant, nothing more." They touched down at Bay G-17, one of the outermost platforms. The landing clamps shrieked as they locked in. The moment the ramp hissed open, heat and the stench of burned alloys hit them like a wall. Alira descended first, wrapped in a black utility jacket. Kuno followed, his robes light but sealed for dust. A few miners nearby stopped to stare, not at Alira, but at Kuno. A human woman traveling with a Psy-class empath? On Alheron, that wasn't just strange. It was a warning flare. A vendor at a tool stand glanced up and froze. "We don't serve mind readers," he grunted before turning away. Alira took a step forward. "He's not reading anything. But I am reading you, and you reek of fear." The vendor muttered something under his breath and vanished into his stall. They walked on, silence growing between them. Inside the fueling depot, they approached the console. A bored technician tapped away, not even looking up. "Fuel and coolant. Account code 7 Tango Voss," Alira said, sliding her ID chip across. The tech paused. A drone behind him pivoted and focused on them. "Just a second," he said. Kuno leaned in. "Something's not right. His heart rate just spiked." "I know," Alira whispered. "Too much attention for a routine stop." She scanned the depot. Two men at the corner table were staring at her, not with curiosity, but with purpose. One spoke into his collar mic. Alira straightened. "We're done. Let's go." They were halfway up the ramp when it happened. The Marlin's ghost powered down, lights off, engines dead. "What the hell?" Alira turned just as a detachment of Galactic patrol officers strode in, armor black and teal, rifles drawn. At their head was a tall Varkan, his pale skin marred with ritual scars. "Captain Threx Malcor." "Kuno Virith," Threx said coldly. "You are hereby detained under Regulation 7.4 of the Psi Security Accord. You are charged with neuromanipulation of civilians and unauthorized planetary mental influence." Alira stepped in front of Kuno. "He did nothing. We've been here 12 minutes. Threx's gaze slid to her. "Human. Step aside." Alira didn't move. Threx raised one brow. "Still pretending your species understands restraint." His second-in-command raised a shock baton. "Move." "I won't." The baton cracked across her ribs before the sentence finished. Alira collapsed, choking on pain, one hand clutching her side. Kuno moved toward her, but two officers tackled him down. Metal clamps locked around his wrists and neck. He didn't struggle, didn't cry out. "Alira," he whispered. "Don't react." She pushed herself to one knee. "You bastards, he didn't do anything." Threx crouched in front of her. "That's irrelevant. What matters is that he could. And out here, that's all the reason we need." He stood and gave a curt nod. "Ship seized. Take them both to processing." As Kuno was dragged away, his eyes met hers, calm, not afraid. That scared her more than anything. They threw her in a holding bay reeking of ozone and blood. No medical aid, no words. Just silence and flickering lights. Her lip was split. She tasted copper. Minutes, or hours, passed before the door hissed open again. She looked up, expecting another blow. Instead, they shoved Kuno inside. He stumbled, chained, and crumpled beside her. His robes were soaked in blood. Gods! She gasped, crawling to him. Kuno, look at me! His eyes fluttered open. Didn't break. What did they do? Questions, he whispered. Memories. Pushed too deep. She cupped his face, trembling. I'll get you out. I swear it. He smiled faintly. Elira. Don't lose yourself. Promise me. He pressed his forehead to hers. A rush of warmth, a lake at sunset, the sound of her laughter from another time, memories not her own, but shared. His final gift. Then he went still. Elira stared down at him. Something in her snapped. She reached slowly into her boot. A pressure release hissed, and a thin blade slid into her palm. Her fingers wrapped around it, steady. Controlled. She looked toward the sealed door. They made a mistake. They left her breathing. The cell's silence was deafening, broken only by the slow, uneven breath of the man she once called her compass. Kuno lay curled on his side, bound by neural cuffs that pulsed with faint blue arcs. His skin was pale. His veins shimmered faintly with stress-reactive light. He hadn't moved in nearly 15 minutes. Elira crouched beside him, her back pressed to the cold wall. Her cracked ribs ached, but pain was no longer a concern. The knife in her hand, carbon-forged, short and silent, rested against her leg, hidden beneath the torn flap of her jacket. She whispered, Still with me? Kuno blinked slowly, then nodded, barely. They tried to pull me apart. Thought if they unraveled enough memories, something useful would fall out. What did you give them? Images, he murmured. My homeworld. Ocean light. Trees that hum when touched. Nothing they could use. She reached forward, brushing a blood-matted lock of hair from his face. You shouldn't have resisted that hard. They expected surrender. I wanted them disappointed. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Elira's hand went to the knife. She tensed, then relaxed. Not yet. Not while they were both weak. Timing was everything. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. Threx entered. Alone. He walked with the calm precision of someone who believed the outcome was already written. His gaze swept over Kuno's body, then shifted to Elira. You humans bond strangely. Elira stood. Slowly. You call torture bonding? No. I call this weakness. You carry attachments into the void like relics. But out here, attachments get you killed. You talk a lot for someone who hides behind a badge. Threx smiled faintly. And you don't talk enough for someone running out of time. He stopped a meter from her. The psi accords prohibit neural influence on regulated species. Your pet violated those laws the moment he entered this sector. He did nothing. Intent is enough. Her voice dropped. Then what's yours? Threx stepped closer. Purity. Order. Control. The galaxy's crumbling under too many voices speaking at once. Humans are loud. Psis are louder. He leaned forward, voice low. You represent the old chaos. A blunt instrument in a diplomatic age. Elira didn't flinch. I represent truth. And truth doesn't go away because you beat it unconscious. Threx's eyes narrowed. You'll die for him. That's clear. The question is, how many screams before you realize he's not worth the cost? He turned to leave, pausing at the doorway. One more session. Then we dispose of him. You'll watch. Then he was gone. The door sealed behind him. Kuno stirred. Don't what? Don't do what you're thinking. She didn't respond. You have a future. I've seen it. A quiet one. Not soaked in blood. That future died the moment they touched you. No, he said. It changed. Don't confuse the two. She knelt. I swore to protect you. You swore to survive. Not without you. He smiled weakly. Then we escape. Not destroy. You really think they'll let us walk out? I think you're clever. And I'm not useless. She exhaled through her nose. We're on the lower ring. There's probably a maintenance chute behind that panel. He nodded. Vent systems run to the power bays. If we get there, we can short the shield generators. Elira glanced toward the panel. We'll need a distraction. Kuno's eyes fluttered. Leave that to me. She turned back. You can't even stand. His expression darkened. I don't need to. Before she could ask, he touched the wall, his fingers trembling, and closed his eyes. Far above, on the second tier, a power conduit sparked violently. Lights flickered. Warning klaxons pulsed once, then stopped. A circuit breaker exploded with a sharp crack. Kuno sagged, coughing blood. You did that? She whispered. He didn't answer. Just grinned faintly, teeth blood-stained. Elira moved fast. She drove the knife into the panel seam, popping it free. A narrow crawl space appeared, just big enough for her to squeeze through. She turned back. I'll come back for you. No, Kuno whispered. We go together. She hesitated. Then she cut the neural cuffs. The moment they fell away, he collapsed into her arms. She didn't cry. There was no room for that anymore. She dragged him into the shaft, one arm over her shoulder, knees scraping steel. Behind them, the alarms kicked back in. But Elira didn't flinch. She was moving now. And once she moved, she didn't stop. The service tunnels beneath Alt-Heron Prime's detention sector were narrow, choked with dust and heat. Pipes hissed above Elira's head. The floor grated with every dragged footstep. Over her shoulder, Kuno hung semi-conscious, whispering incoherent fragments of memories, names, colors, sounds from lifetimes ago. She didn't stop. Sweat dripped from her brow as she hauled him forward, boots scraping steel. Her muscles burned, but the fire in her gut burned hotter. At the end of the corridor, a hatch stood slightly ajar. Beyond it, an old fusion control bay, abandoned when the main grid rerouted years ago. She kicked it open, shoved inside, and bolted the hatch behind them. Inside, silence, flickering lights, rows of dead consoles. No cameras. No patrols. She lowered Kuno gently to the floor, propped his back against the coolant cylinder. His breathing was shallow, eyes half open but unfocused. You're safe, she said, wiping his forehead. He didn't respond. She took a step back, unzipped a hidden compartment in the wall, and pulled out an old duffel bag. Black recon armor. Folded. Scuffed. Familiar. Her fingers trembled as she reached inside. Piece by piece, she suited up: compressive vest, reinforced gloves, knee plates, HUD visor. Every piece a memory. Every snap of a buckle a promise. When she looked into the mirror shard wedged into the wall, her reflection was unrecognizable. And perfect. A voice crackled in her earpiece, an old line auto-connected when the armor powered on. Recon Voss, Terra Command signal link active. Awaiting orders. She stared at the prompt. Then disabled it. I don't take orders anymore. She turned back to Kuno. He stirred. Elira, you're wearing it again. For you. Don't let it take you too far. I'm not lost. Kuno closed his eyes. You were always sharper when angry. I'm not angry, she said softly. I'm focused. She knelt beside him, opened the medical kit in the armor pouch, and injected a stabilizer into his arm. His breathing slowed, more even now. Outside, boots stomped across graded walkways. Muffled voices, commands. They were close. Elira stood. She unslung a silenced pistol from the duffel and holstered it. Then checked the charge on 2 small plasma grenades. Good. She clicked her comms open and spoke into the mic. Threx. I know you're listening. Silence. Then his voice came, smug and slow. You're alive. Not for long. 4 of your men dragged my friend through that hallway. The one with the blinking sensor node. Pause. You think threats change anything? No, she said. But I want them to know it wasn't random. She switched channels, tuned into the internal patrol frequency. Static. Then chatter. Unit 3 to Central, possible breach. Saw something near the pump room, Unit 4 heading in. Perfect. She moved fast, slipping out through a hatch on the opposite side of the bay, pistol drawn. 2 patrol officers paced through the pipeline chamber. She was in recon, you know, one muttered. Back on the Xylary front. Rumors. She ghosted a whole platoon with a broken comms rig and a knife. Again, rumors. A soft click echoed behind them. They spun. Nothing. The taller officer stepped forward, rifle raised. That's when the light snapped off. A shadow dropped from the overhead scaffolding, silent, brutal. Alira's blade slid through the first man's visor with surgical precision. The second turned to run, shouted, then staggered as 2 suppressed rounds buried into his spine. Both crumpled. No alarms triggered. She dragged the bodies out of view, wiped the blade clean, and tapped into their comms. 2 down. 3 left. Including Threx. Back in the fusion bay, Kuno stirred. He could feel it, shocks of pain, confusion, then silence. Alira's killing again, he thought. Not because she wants to, but because they made her. He forced himself up, gripping the cylinder for balance. He wasn't a fighter. But he wasn't baggage either. He reached for the wall panel. Opened a conduit. Fingers trembled, but the touchpad recognized his neural signature. He began rerouting the internal energy grid, quietly blacking out corridors, locking doors, rerouting comms away from Threx's core command. If Alira was the blade, he'd be the shadow behind it. Threx stood in the command suite, watching his men's vitals drop off one by one. He clenched his jaw. She's turned this place into a hunt, his lieutenant said. No, Threx muttered. She's reminding us what humans are. He turned to the security chief. Seal the base. Lock down all external docks. And bring me her body when it's over. Or what's left of it. Alira dropped into the air duct above the south corridor. Below, 2 patrol guards checked a scanner node. She pulled the pin on the plasma grenade, let it drop through the vent. It hit the floor with a dull clink. The guards froze. Then, flash, soundless shockwave. The hallway lit up in blue fire. When it cleared, the walls were scorched, the scanner fried. And no one stood. She slid down, boots thudding softly. Threx, she whispered into the open mic. 2 more. Silence. Then static. Then, you're doing this for a sigh. For something not even your species. I'm doing this for the only person who didn't treat me like a weapon. Then you'll die for him. I already lived because of him. She turned the corner. The command suite doors were ahead. She didn't need stealth now. She wanted them to know she was coming. She holstered the pistol. Drew the blade. Time for Threx. Time for justice. The command suite stood silent beyond the reinforced doors, 2 meters of alloy, guarded by biometric locks and sensor scans. It was designed to withstand siege. It had never faced her. Alira stood in the dim corridor, body still, heart steady. She ran one gloved finger down the side of her blade. Threx was behind that door. The last name on her list. The one that mattered. A faint crackle in her ear. Power cycling, Kuno's voice whispered. Cameras offline. Door override, now? The locks clunked. Lights above the frame flashed red, then green. Alira moved. She kicked the door open. It slammed inward, rattling the consoles inside. Threx was waiting, armor on, rifle raised, helmet off. His yellow eyes met hers without a flicker of surprise. 2 soldiers flanked him. Alira didn't speak. She moved. The first guard lunged, rifle sweeping. She ducked, drove her blade into the gap under his chest plate, and twisted. He gasped, dropped. The second fired, too late. A flash from her sidearm struck his visor. He dropped without a sound. Now it was just her and Threx. She stood, breathing slow, pistol pointed. Threx smiled faintly. You're better than I remembered. You don't remember me. Wrong. Xylary Front. Northern Ridge. You burned 5 of my men alive. You were executing civilians. They were insurgents. They were children. A pause. His jaw tightened. You've always been the problem, Voss. You never knew your place. I do now, she said. Right in front of you. He tossed the rifle aside, slowly, deliberately. I want you to understand something, he said, stepping forward. This galaxy doesn't run on compassion. It runs on order. Men like me hide behind the rules you twist. She cut in. You don't serve justice. You serve yourself. He nodded. Maybe. But when your kind burns out again, when your anger eats you whole, don't pretend I didn't warn you. She holstered her pistol. He arched a brow. You think a blade evens us? I think it makes this personal. He charged. The clash was brutal, fist to blade, elbow to gut. He was fast, stronger, armored. But she was precise. Efficient. He swung low. She pivoted, slashed across his thigh. He staggered, roared. She ducked his next punch, drove a knee into his ribs, then stabbed upward, caught his shoulder. He headbutted her. The world swam. She stumbled, blood in her mouth. He lunged, tackled her against the wall. Metal groaned under their weight. You're done, he hissed, hand at her throat. No, she rasped. Her fingers found the hilt still lodged in his shoulder. She yanked it down. He screamed. She twisted out, drove her boot into his chest. He hit the floor hard. She stood over him, blade poised. Do it, he spat. Kill me. She looked into his eyes. And hesitated. You're not worth a clean death. She turned, walked toward the console. Behind her, Threx lunged, barely able to stand. A shot rang out. He froze. Blood bloomed from his side. Kuno stood in the doorway, shaking, one hand on the frame, the other holding a pistol. Threx dropped to his knees. You should have stayed down, Alira said. Threx looked at Kuno, then back at her. He won't survive out here. You're condemning him. No, she said. You did that the moment you touched him. She walked up to him, crouched. There's one truth you never understood, she said, voice low. Humans don't forget. And we don't forgive. Then she drove the blade into his heart. His body slumped. Silence. Kuno lowered the pistol, his arm trembling. You walked here? She asked, helping him sit. I rerouted the lifts. Used the chaos. You're not supposed to be up. Neither are you. They both laughed. Quiet. Broken. Real. Alira turned to the console, patched into the patrol comms. This is Commander Alira Voss, she said into the mic. Sector Patrol has violated galactic law. Evidence of abuse, torture, and unlawful executions is recorded. I'm transmitting now. She hit the send key. This'll spark something, Kuno said. Let it. She walked back to him, helped him up. Ready to disappear? She asked. Kuno nodded. We'll need a new name. She smiled. I've got one. They left the command suite together, the doors hissing shut behind them. The dead stayed behind. But the message had already escaped. The Marlin's ghost lifted off under a bruised sky, streaks of orange and violet dancing over the fractured skyline of Altair Prime. The ship groaned as its engines pushed through the thick, ionized atmosphere. Panels still bore burn marks. The left stabilizer hummed unevenly. But it flew. Alira sat in the pilot's seat, one hand steady on the throttle, the other wiping dried blood from her temple. Her armor was dented. Her body was worse. But they were airborne. Kuno lay strapped into the co-pilot's seat, wrapped in medfoam and silence. A low beep tracked his vitals, stronger now, but still fragile. You with me? She asked, not taking her eyes off the stars rising through the clouds. Kuno opened one eye groggy. Barely. That makes two of us. A pause passed between them. Did the message go through? He asked. She nodded. To every Accord relay in a 10-sector radius. Full footage. Audio. Names. Dates. Even the vitals of the officer's eye dropped. His eyes widened slightly. That is going to cause problems. Good, she said. They deserve problems. The ship broke atmosphere. The stars stretched into view, a familiar void filled with endless options, and none at all. Alira pulled up the NAV board. We need a place to hide. At least until your lungs stop rattling like scrap. Zanari Drift. Kuno offered. Neutral ground. Trade station. Ships come and go. No questions. Too obvious. Exactly why they won't expect it. She didn't argue. Coordinates locked. The ship adjusted. But even as they fled, the signal they left behind spread faster than light. Elsewhere in the galaxy, on a marble-towered Accord station orbiting the Glavian belt, a transmission burst across secure channels. It hijacked military lines. It overrode encryption. Every screen flashed red. Then played the footage. Alira, beaten but unbowed, standing in front of Kuno's limp body. The screams of prisoners echoing. The faces of Threx's officers. The final moments. The quiet kill. The file was marked, Patrol Report, Unfiltered Truth. It couldn't be ignored. Not anymore. On board the Marlin's Ghost, Kuno watched the NAV lights flicker overhead. You didn't have to transmit all of it, he said. I did, Alira replied. Not just for you. For everyone they left in a cell. Everyone they erased. Kuno closed his eyes. The galaxy won't thank you. Not looking for thanks. They may call you a terrorist. She shrugged. Let them. I know what I am. And what's that? An answer. She stood, walked to the back of the cockpit, opened a panel, and pulled out a folded data pad. She powered it on, scanned the system logs. Signal bounce confirmed. She muttered. Multiple forward nodes picked it up. It's still replicating. Kuno sat up with effort. Which means they'll trace it. Back to us. I'm counting on it. He raised an eyebrow. She sat beside him. We need to show them this wasn't just some fringe outpost gone rogue. This is systemic. The more they chase us, the more they'll expose. And if they silence us? Then make sure they bleed doing it. A day passed in silence. Then came the first reply. An encrypted pulse on a dead channel. Alira almost didn't notice it. She leaned forward, decrypted the header. Her eyes narrowed. What is it? Kuno asked. From a human forward post. Not military. Civilian resistance network. They saw the footage. And? They want to help. Kuno exhaled. There's more of you out there. No, she said quietly. There's more of us. She loaded the reply. A single phrase blinked on screen. We've been waiting for someone to go first. Back on Altair Prime, the fallout began. Galactic Patrol Command denied all involvement. Claimed the footage was altered. But within hours, 2 more sectors shared similar files. Testimonies. Smuggled logs. A pattern emerged, too big to deny. Protests sparked across fringe worlds. Ships painted their hulls with a new sigil, a blade in a clenched fist. Beneath it, Voss lives. Alira watched the broadcasts in silence. Kuno said nothing. She turned to him. We didn't plan a revolution. No, he said. But we lit the fuse. And what now? We keep moving. Keep showing them the truth. She leaned back, arms folded. Then we'll need fuel. Weapons. Allies. Kuno grinned weakly. You're terrifying when you strategize. You say that like it's new. Later that night, she stood alone at the viewport. The stars drifted slowly. Behind her, The galaxy stirred with unrest. The name Elira Voss had become more than a person. It was now a spark. She whispered, not turning around. We don't run forever. Kuno's voice, soft from the dark. No. Just long enough to change the rules. The stars didn't answer. But the silence was no longer empty. It was watching. And waiting.